that's where you belong. Give your strength to carry on. Open your heart, set your mind at ease. Live your life and you'll be free. We're gonna rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising,
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this very special Toon Review edition of the Daily News. Of course, breaking news this morning was that the confirmation of Sandro Tonali's ban has indeed come through, and it is a 10-month ban, so his season is over. However, there is some, well, if there's any positives, there is some come out of the hearing. So we'll get into it in just a second. But as usual, guys, if you do enjoy today's show that me and Billy have put together for you, please do hit the thumbs up. Very important to the channel that we keep them coming in. And of course, if you're new, please do subscribe. It is free to do so, and hit the notification bell, which will let you know when we schedule any live shows or we upload any recorded ones. You can donate to the channel if you so wish, as usual, by hitting that $sign at the bottom of the live comments. That will get you, well, you're helping out the channel enormously for a start, and you'll get your comment read straight out as well. Memberships are open, of course. Hit that join button just underneath me and Billy. Good afternoon, Mr. Trey.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ditchburn.
What are you thinking? Because, I mean, I think everybody expected it to be a 10-month ban. His season is over, but the fact is he can still train. And I think that's a big, big thing in this ban because, of course, Ivan Toney wasn't allowed anywhere near the football ground. He wasn't allowed near the training ground. Very different for Sandro. He's allowed to train and play in friendlies, which means he'll also get pre-season in next season.
Yeah, I think that's a massive positive. He's not going to be isolated to do whatever he thinks he shouldn't be doing or should be doing. You know, he's going to be monitored closely by the club and also by the authorities in Italy. So, there are some small positives to be taken from it. And the biggest one probably is this time last week, we kind of thought it could have been a 2-year ban, but possibly even a 3-year ban.
Yeah, the way that we're talking, indeed.
So, I think the fact he's cooperated fully and come clean and what he's been up to, I think it's really helped him out in this kind of this ban that he's got, to be honest.
Yeah, I think his lawyers have obviously done him a favour, done a lot of work on this, getting a sort of clean deal. Toon Gamer says, hopefully Willock can stay fit now as need him more than ever. With this ban and injuries to Anderson, 2 to 3 weeks, Isak 4 weeks, and Murphy 6 weeks, our squad's looking light. Indeed it is. Anthony says, surprisingly light. I'm not sure it's light. Baz, I'm interested to know where you got this information from. He says, shocking report. Tonali betting on how. But if true, he'll not only lose the support of his teammates around him, but the fans would not tolerate that at all. Doomed. I haven't heard anything of that, Baz. So if you can let us know where you got that information, I'd love to know. Because if he has been betting on Eddie Howe, then that, this
to do what exactly?
Well, exactly. I mean, I don't understand that. So listen, this is for what's gone on in Italy, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I'm aware of nothing else to suggest that anything's gone on since he moved to Newcastle. Ian, good afternoon. Shearer69 says, at least it's better than what some were predicting or wanted. Toon Gamer says, the report today, Tonali been gambling since 2021, but no info on how many bets has been placed since then. There's various reports coming out on that, Billy, saying that some are saying he's been betting since his days at, is it Brescia?
Yeah.
Then some saying it's only a couple of year thing. So, I think there's obviously a lot of rumors still going out on there. So we tend to just wait till people have made an absolute, an official statement is what we believe.
Yeah, and until we see the details of what actually has gone on, and we won't ever be privy to that information, people will keep on making kind of summarizations of what's gone on, and we don't know. We may never know. But the fact of the matter is, he's definitely been at it, and he's been found guilty of it. He's pleaded guilty to it, and he's got a 10-minute ban on the back of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a super chat of $4.99 from Geordie V. Great commentary last night. Thank you very much. Felt really bad for Jacob Murphy. Wish him a speedy recovery. Yeah, we echo that 100%. Good afternoon to Pedro. Paul Tully says, afternoon all. Sandro can only be content with 10 months. It could have been longer, and he gets to train, so it's better than it could have been, to be honest. I mean, yeah, we mentioned that at the start, Billy, the fact that he's training, and we spoke about this in various other shows about, you know, a ban and having loads of spare time to himself, but it's not really going to be like that because he hasn't been banned from the training ground. He hasn't been banned from St. James's Park. No. He can attend the games. You know, yes, he'll just be a supporter, I guess, but he can maybe still be around to help people out, and it's not as bad as Tony's, which is a big thing for me.
Time wise, it's longer by 3 months, but he's allowed to play friendlies and go into training. So you know he's not going to go through pre-season training next August as he would have been if he weren't allowed to do that. So yeah, to me, it's less severe than Tony's, and we don't know the comparison between the two cases, obviously. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased he can train. Maybe he can do a bit of coaching with the youngsters, you know, that kind of thing. A lot of things he can get on with. He's also got to go to Italy 16 times over the next
face to face, yeah,
for kind of their Gamblers Anonymous type classes and things like that. So I think the Italian FA have done well by him, to be honest. I mean, as I say, it could have been a lot worse. And
I mean, look, the ins and outs of the plea bargain, we're never going to hear about what was really discussed in there, or I think a lot of the things that the accusations thrown at Sandro, what's the real depth of what really happened, I don't think are going to come out in public anytime soon anyway. The lawyers have obviously done a good job for Sandro in negotiating everything, and I think, you know, they've obviously released the ban, but we'll never truly know what's gone on. But hopefully this is a new step for Sandro now. It's off. He's got the monkey off his back, basically. The dark cloud has lifted. He's been silly. He's got his punishment now. Now it's a case of just dealing with the punishment. It is going to be very interesting to see what Newcastle United do now with regards to, did AC Milan know? That's another talking point, you know, because there is various reports that Newcastle will look into or certainly have conversations regarding AC Milan and their conduct through the whole thing. So that's still, you know, got to go a long way, I think, because Milan have, of course, pleaded their innocence as they would. But I think, you know, we as fans putting sort of 2 and 2 together think, hang on a minute, you know, we went over for a completely different player. We've come back with another one because we were told that he's at a bargain price. Why are you selling them that cheap and things like that? That's all still got to come out in the wash. Pedro says at least we're not paying his wages. Yeah, I did read that he won't be paid by Newcastle United during the ban. So I'm not sure what happens with that, but you know, whether he gets a subsidy payment from somebody to keep him going. But I mean, keep him going. He's probably a millionaire, but you know what I mean. Afternoon, TDR family. Literally just walked through the door. Perfect timing. Spike, good afternoon. TDR family. Hope everyone's good. Spike, I've got your email, matey. I'm going to reply to you this afternoon. Good afternoon to Billy Ace. Julie, good afternoon. Bruv Butler says, afternoon all. Is he still able to train with the lads and still go to matches? Yes. There's no stadium ban or anything like that. Keith says, hoping this is the low point in Tonali's life and everything from here is about recovery and moving past this. Skeletons are out of the closet for him. Probably a relief in a way. It will be a relief, Billy. He'll also be feeling a little bit, you know, probably ashamed that he's done this and feeling very disappointed in himself. But that's what recovery's all about, isn't it? It's dealing with the demons. You know, this fact that he's got to go and speak to somebody 16 times in Italy, a professional, regarding, you know, on his recovery process. That'll all come out in recovery, which is all. So by the time he comes back, the ban's served, he'd be in a better headspace, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure the past 2 weeks he would have kind of started that process anyway. I'm sure he'd have expected some kind of ban and potentially a longer one. I think that's why he's cooperated But then, yeah, he's got 8 months, 10 months, and he'll still be playing, of course. His friendlies will definitely be arranged. There's no doubt about that in my mind, whether it's friendlies for the under-21s or international breaks, be arranged one with whoever, whether we go to Saudi Arabia again for a week or whatever. So he's going to be involved with the squad, and it's going to help him out. And in all that time, he'll be kind of being monitored by the club, being monitored by the authorities, being monitored by the Italian authorities. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that he has come clean. It's helped him with his suspension. Yeah. It's got to help him with his mental health as well, because that's the most important thing of all of it, I think.
Indeed. George, thank you very much for your £2 super chat. He says, the drums. I can still hear the drums. Oh, dear. Never mind. Kevin says, just when we think things are finally going our way, what a shit 24 hours it's been. A loss, injuries, 10-month ban. Hi, everyone. Well, Kevin, let's just hope that, it comes in threes. So loss, injuries, 10-month ban. That's the three out the way. Let's hope we can just go into the Wolves game at the weekend, put on a really good performance, start picking up the points again in the Premier League, and move on. Manchester United, of course, in the Carabao Cup away. We've got lots of good games to look forward to. So I think it's important now that, everything's put behind us regarding the disappointments. There's nothing we can do about injuries. It just so happens that we've got injuries in key positions at the minute. And, of course, Tonali's ban now adds to that, Billy. I mean, a 10-month ban, we could maybe just sort of, instead of saying 10-month ban, it could be an ACL injury that's put him out for 10 months. Players get injured for that length of time. So it is just like having a player on a long-term injury, I guess.
However, that is different because, of course, that is purely accidental. What he's done is a punishment for what he's done.
Yeah.
I think now that the Man United game next Wednesday isn't going to be as important to us. It's really unfortunate with the players we got out and with the suspension. I can't just go in there with a full strength side. But I need strength of the imagination. I think we'll see a lot of kids there, which is a real kind of bugbear for me because I was really wanting to go there and give them a good hiding. Don't think that's going to happen now, if I'm perfectly honest. Yeah. That'll be the bottom priority now, and it'll be Premier League, trying to keep the best side for Premier League, resting players for the Carabao Cup, and trying to get by in the Champions League, really, because, all in all, I think it's tough for us, especially with the injuries and the suspension. It really is going to, and the transfer window hasn't worked for us now, has it? Let's be honest.
Nope. But I guess it's difficult in transfer windows. You're not
no one
able to see into the future, and nobody knew about Tonali exactly. So it's. But
we knew we needed another striker. We couldn't go through with two injury-prone strikers. Let's be honest. We did not sniff a one. It's it could have been better.
Plus point is as well, we've got another international break for 2 weeks in November, so that will help us a lot. The previous ones have certainly helped us this season, and this is going to help again. Sam says, if he can play friendlies, does that mean he can play with the under-23s?
No, just in friendlies. The under-23s got their own league, haven't they? So
yeah.
You
did say before the show it'd be interesting to see if the under-23s get some friendlies arranged as well.
Every chance of it.
Just to keep him in match practice. John Joe, thank you for your $4.99 super chat. He says, do you think we could maybe look in the free transfer market now?
I think they'll wait till January and possibly get a 6-month loan, and that'll just about cover the gap, won't it? He'll miss the first 4 or 5 games next season, but I think a 6-month loan in January for whoever. Maybe with an obligation, not with an obligation, with an option to buy, depending on how well they play. That's the way they'll go about it, I think.
I'm just wondering, Billy, just regarding, obviously, if we're not paying Tonali's wages.
Yeah, I was just about thinking the same thing.
FFP.
Exactly, yeah, I was just thinking exactly the same point.
I think, obviously, Newcastle United will be looking into that to see where we stand on FFP, because if we're not paying Tonali's wages this season, then maybe something can happen this year where it doesn't affect FFP. So I think they'll be looking into that, definitely, because it might free up a bit of money to bring someone else in, come January. So that's an interesting one.
Certainly on a 6-month loan anyway. I mean,
yeah,
there were no fee, potentially no fee as such. But the wages, we can loan a top quality player who's probably not playing for Manchester City, for instance, on a 6-month loan. I don't know. It's one of the top clubs, an Arsenal player perhaps, who's not playing.
Yep. Dylan says, I'm so worried about the striking situation. Wilson is not going to last 3 games a week, unfortunately. Love Wilson, but I worry. Yeah, you mentioned this. Well, we all mentioned this last night, Billy. Certainly when Isak went off as well. We were all sort of looking and thinking, hang on a minute. Isak, it's a very it's a dangerous injury for Isak, isn't it? Because it's a muscle problem, and muscle problems, Eddie Howe thought he was fully fit going into the game last night. He lasted 12 minutes, and a reoccurrence of it. I mean, Eddie has said that even Jacob Murphy, who's dislocated the shoulder, is not serious. Now, dislocated shoulder for me is serious. I mean, it takes a lot of coming back from. As muscle injuries as well, Billy, you just look at what happened to Willock. You can never predict on muscle injuries. So I think we're very used to Eddie Howe saying, "Oh, don't worry, it's nothing serious." But then it turns into, I mean, look at Sven Botman.
The dislocated shoulder one worries me because the potential is there for it to happen again, unless they operate it on it and put a pin in. I can remember years ago, Brian Robson, he had a dislocated shoulder and kept popping out and out and out until he had it operated on. They tried to get him through it, never worked. So, I mean, they obviously won't operate him straight away, but I imagine if he plays and he does it again, then they'll see if they've been operation. That's 3 or 4 months out, no doubt about it. So they've got to be careful with Murphy. The exact ones, it's difficult. They've got 2 strikers in the same boat, really. I mean, there's no way Callum Wilson can play 3 games a week. Absolutely none whatsoever.
No.
He's been injury prone himself. So the more games he plays, the more chance you've got of him being injured. And for 5 or 6 weeks, we're going to be left with none if he gets injured Saturday, for instance. And he has played most of last night, most of the week before. Wolves on Saturday. It
is going to be tough for him.
It's tough for him, yeah. It's going to be really
there's
tough.
no doubt about it. But I mean, look, somebody put a comment on the watch along last night when we finished just about the striking situation. Said, look, where do we stand? Does Gordon, for instance, we know he can play that role because he's played it for England and played it very well. But obviously with Harvey Barnes being out now, but then Joe Linton can play for a couple of games, I guess, either left or through the middle. With Willock coming back, that helps us a lot in that situation. But these are sort of headaches for Eddie Howe that, we were saying a few weeks ago, he's got a headache with his team selection now. He's got a headache with who to put in what positions because of the various injuries and obviously the ban to Tonali.
Immediately as well, because there's no way you can put Willock straight into a game now. Elliot Anderson's out for 4 weeks with his back. So, yeah, we're really struck at the minute. Put Joe Linton left. Who plays in that midfield role now? Lewis Miley has glandular fever. We really are at our bare bones at the moment. And we are. We're Champions League side.
Yeah, it is disappointing. However, we know from the documentary that they were seriously hampered in the summer from FFP and bringing players in. I think Lewis Miley, once he recovers and gets himself fit, but that's not easy from glandular fever because we know how run down that makes you feel, lack of energy. But one thing we do have is a fantastic medical facilities now and medical staff that will get these players back to full health as soon as they can, but they won't take any risks on them. But I do think Lewis Miley now will get an opportunity to play a few games. Certainly Elliot Anderson once he gets back from his back problem. But we're probably looking at after the international break for Isak, for Anderson, for Murphy. Obviously now we've lost Tonali, so it does add up. It really does add up. Liam says, when it first happened, Tonali was the tip of the iceberg. Who else are we going to hear about? Well, I think it's going to be in Italy. I don't think it's anything to do with the English game, to be honest. I think it's all to do with Italian football again, dragged through the mud. And you can bet your bottom dollar that there's still some very big names to come out of this hat with regards to this scandal, because there's over 40 names apparently, and you can't tell me that some of them won't be big names. But time will tell.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Zaniolo. I mean, Zaniolo's been accused of the same thing. We've heard nothing of him yet. Maybe he's trying to not been as open with the Italian authorities. But Aston Villa have got him on loan for the end of the season, so that potentially could be bad for them too. Yeah, I mean, look, it's very quiet on Zaniolo, isn't it? It seems to be all have been focused these last couple of weeks on Tonali. Yeah. When this news first broke, Billy, it was all about Tonali and Zaniolo. They were the two names. Fagiolo, he got the ban first of all, and it's now. There was two names, but there seems to be centered around one the last couple of weeks, unless they're dealing it case by case. There must be. I guess it's such a big thing. They can't kind of, and all cases will be different amounts of betting, different amounts of money going on betting. Did Zaniolo bet his own team, for instance? So, there is different kind of phases of it all. And I'll be interested to see what happens to Zaniolo because, as I say, Villa have got him on loan to the end of the season. I don't know if that contract will remain valid if he does get banned. I don't know. I really don't know. Sometimes when you get someone on loan, they get injured, you send them straight back, don't you? So,
well, indeed, but Zaniolo's lawyers may look at the Tonali case and think, right, well, Tonali's admitted guilt. He's been very forthcoming with helping with inquiries. We're led to believe he hasn't hidden anything. Therefore, will they go down the same route and look for a plea bargain for him? So it is interesting to see what comes out with the Zaniolo case.
yeah.
Ian A, thank you for your $4.99 super chat, buddy. Thank you. Last night is how I thought Champions League would be. Against PSG is how I hoped Champions League would be. Yeah, good point. But listen, I've seen some ridiculous comments regarding the game last night, and we'll speak about it. We'll speak about it in the review show tonight, which is 7:00, by the way. So don't miss that one tonight. We do have some giveaways, 2 members draws and a viewers draw as well. So don't miss that at 7:00 tonight. But we will talk about that more, including the atmosphere at St James's Park, which apparently was terrible. So we'll talk about all that in the review show tonight. Andy says it's hard to be too mad about it, given what could have happened. The biggest shame is I thought he looked proper sharp when he came on last night. Yeah, he did. And I think that's because a huge cloud has lifted off him. Obviously, when he first came, Billy, he would probably have known this was coming at some point. I cannot believe that Tonali or his representatives or people in Italian football did not know this was coming, right? Inquiries go on for a long time before people are charged with stuff, and this didn't just come out of the hat. So getting that monkey off his back, as we said earlier, Billy, is massive, and playing with a bit of freedom.
I'm going to guess that he found out about this coming just before the Brighton game.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm perfectly honest, that's when you saw the difference, because against Aston Villa, against Liverpool, he was dominant. Against Man City, it was obviously a difficult game, but his work rate was fantastic. Yeah. Brighton was the game when he dropped off a cliff that game. He was awful. A player that certainly had something on his mind, because nothing he did was good. His attitude weren't great. He didn't close down nonchalant little flicks, cost us a goal. And I'm surmising, obviously, I don't know. But if you
we'll
look
never know, will we?
No, of course not. But if you look at that performance against the ones before, I'd say something happened in between them 2 games, if I'm perfectly honest.
And obviously, with the threat of a 3-year ban, the worry for Tonali was going to be huge. Kevin says, hopefully by next year, he'll be well settled in England and absolutely bursting to make up for this. Yes, I would assume so. And of course, because he's able to train, it's not like he's going to be sitting in Italy for 10 months, Billy. He's got to be over here training with his team. So Eddie Howe will still put him through the rigors of training and make sure that he's involved around the first team, which I think is very, very important, because with the addictive personalities that you have with gambling and things like that, it's very important now that while he's doing his recovery, he's also around friendly faces and people that are going to support him.
I'd like to see him return that, and when he does come back, I'd like to see him sign a year's contract extension for the year that we've lost.
For the year we've missed. That's a good point. Yeah.
Because he's been fully supported by the fans, the club, the squad, the manager. I think a little bit back in return wouldn't go amiss. Just an extension. He might think, I'll sign for another 2 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, I'll be a bit perturbed by it. I've got to be honest.
Yeah. Of course, that's all in the future. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Julie says it's right he doesn't get his wages. Yes, Newcastle aren't paying him. But whether he's getting, like I say, a subsidy from somewhere, or let's be honest, he's probably got plenty in the back. Well, has he? I mean, I don't know. We don't know what the gambling may have done to him. So there's that side of it as well. Nikki says, I'm glad they're letting him train, because without that, the lad would be driving himself mad with all the time on his hands, especially being in a different country. Now, we believe that the recovery process, Billy, and speaking to professionals and getting himself sorted is all going to take place in Italy.
Yeah.
Which means obviously he'll be traveling over there. And I think that's probably better. There's no sort of really language barrier or anything. He can deal everything in his own language. But obviously Newcastle will closely monitor the recovery process as well, and definitely be involved with it.
I would hope that someone would go with him, actually. I'd hope someone from the club would go with him and kind of monitor what's going on and be there as support for him. So it's all about support for the lad. yes, he's going back to Italy. He has to go back to Italy for it.
Mhm.
And he may want to go back to Italy. Obviously, at certain times he will. He's going to be homesick still.
Mhm.
But I would hope that Newcastle United do send some kind of representative with him to monitor what's going on as a kind of support for him. I'm pretty sure that'll happen.
Yeah, Newcastle could be looking at legal options against AC Milan. That is, it's still not done and dusted, everything like that. Basil Brush, good afternoon to you. Keith Downey said he will be able to play behind closed door friendlies. It's any friendlies, I think. But you can guarantee that there'll be quite a few behind closed doors friendlies. I would imagine when they can, they'll get them arranged, probably with local sides, even just non-league sides, to get Tonali games under his belt. But we'll see what happens. Have we heard how long we've lost Murphy and Isak for? I think he said 4 weeks, round about 4 weeks for Isak and around 6 for Murphy. But they're very, very well. I mean, I don't know, Billy. 4 weeks and 6 weeks. 6 weeks for a dislocated shoulder, yes, but you've got your recovery time in that as well. I think that's pushing it. But with Isak, because of the muscle injury, you just don't know, do you? I mean, he's stating 4 weeks, but it could be shorter, it could be longer.
When Eddie Howe says an injury time, take no notice of it. Seriously, not one is going to be like, yeah, we've been, as I say, Sven Botman was out for a couple of weeks. A month ago, he's still not fit, and we've had that before, haven't we? So, yeah, I'll kind of take that with a pinch of salt. We'll see it when we see him. It's simple as that.
Yeah. Connor says the weather made the game bad yesterday. Ball was going a lot quicker and harder to control. Yeah, we'll discuss all that tonight, Connor. No problem at all. Samuel says Donny van de Beek can be signed as a replacement for Sandro Tonali. But Van de Beek's coming. Is Van de Beek playing anywhere at the minute?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, yes, he was a fantastic potential, but Man United have destroyed him. It's as simple as that. So I'm not sure that Van de Beek would be an option. Sean says a dislocation and a reoccurrence, probably a month for Murphy and Isak. Oh, Sean, I think a month for a dislocated shoulder, mate. Yeah, speaking from an ex-ice hockey player, that'll be tough to come back from.
I mean, sometimes they can pop them back in and they're fine, but most of the time it's not like that at all, is it? And they come out.
Yeah,
again.
once it comes out, that's why Dan Burn plays with a heavy strapping on his shoulder every game.
Yeah.
And he's already said that it occasionally pops out and just pops back in. That's the kind of injury he received. But with others, it, like you said earlier, Billy, it can need pinning, and if it needs pinning, then that's a bit more serious.
Yep.
Night of Knee Gaming says this will give him time to also improve his English as well as train and get his fitness spot on for his return. Why did he get 10 months when Tony got 7? It's different. It's a completely different case, and it's obviously different authorities. Rules in one country and punishments in one country can be very different to the ones over here. So, of course, it was dealt in Italy, and this is the Italian punishment he's been given. But it unfortunately comes under the football umbrella where, his new club are now paying the price, basically. Tonali will be able to learn English too. Yep. It's a good point, that, Billy. He can actually, do a lot of things while he's, yes, he can train, but he can still, I'm sure Newcastle United will put together something for him for that, English courses or little things like that. Maybe do some coaching courses and things, so he's got that under his belt.
I'd be amazed if he wasn't helping coaching the youngsters. I'd be amazed. Yeah. I'd be amazed if the English classes that he's clearly taking weren't really up to now. So he's there 2 or 3 times a week, longer than what he would have been. Of course, he's got to fit in all the stuff in Italy into it as well. But yeah, I'll be amazed if them kind of things aren't put into place. Yeah,
I mean, it's a good idea, that, especially I wonder, I mean, the ban has said he's banned from playing for 10 months. It doesn't say anything about coaching or helping the younger teams or being involved in anything like that. So, to keep him busy, it would be pretty much sensible thing to do, to have him doing things around the club like that.
Yes, of course it would. It's good for him as well. As I say, we don't want him isolated, sitting in his wherever he lives, thinking about stuff. What should I do? I'm bored. Who knows what that could lead to? Exactly. The lad's an addict. He needs help, and the only way of helping him properly is by keeping him occupied all the time we can. And also, he's got these things he's got to attend in Italy. So, lots of things to do.
Absolutely. Note says it could be worse. We could be Everton. Yeah, those of you that don't know, Everton are on the brink of a 12-point deduction for breaches in FFP. That will be an absolute shitter to them. There is no doubt about it. And that will just, for them to get 12 points deduction, Billy, could end up seeing them relegated.
100%. And if it had happened last year, they'd have been relegated then. If it happened, I think 9 years out of the last 10 years, if Everton had a 12-point ban, they'd have been relegated.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't see this year being any different. They've not hardly started the season with great gusto. And I think that puts Sean Dyche well behind the eight baller, so to speak. I think they've gone. If they lose 12 points, I really do. What a shame that would be as well. The new stadium next season.
Yeah, you said that with so much sympathy in your voice, Billy. John Joe, thank you for another $4.99. He says, personally, I believe the Italian mafia are the head of this betting scandal. The players get put under pressure. Well, I know there's a lot being said about the Italian mafia, so I'm staying well out of that because I ain't talking about them. Otherwise, I'll have people, black limousines at me door asking me to step in the back seat, Mr. Ditchburn. No, thank you very much. Julie wants to know, could we recall Minte? I don't know. It depends what's speculated or what's put in his contract, not speculated, but put in it. I don't think Eddie Howe would want him to come back. I think he's doing really well in Holland. And if he can continue that for the next season, I think he could be a big part of this club for next season. He looks a player, Billy.
I think the contract would have been for the season and that'll be it. He'll be there for the season and pre-season next year we'll see him properly. Yes, he's ideal for that right-hand side as well, isn't he? Where Miggy is, and an extra body in the squad. Would have been perfect now. He probably would have been kind of getting minutes now if he was in Newcastle. But as you've just stated, and quite right too, he's kicking it in the Dutch league. And let's keep him there. He's getting better by doing that. When he comes to Newcastle, he'll be a better player for it.
The Roughyard Burnigan says, rumours that we could take Phillips from City on loan, not paying Tonali, means we could afford his wages, but I don't think City will loan him to us. I think because we're not paying Tonali's wages, that might open up better players than Calvin Phillips. I
don't think you get better players than Calvin Phillips on loan, though. I mean, you're going to have to sign them, and January's it's a hard market. It's dearer. I think Calvin Phillips on loan wouldn't be a bad deal for us, if I'm perfectly honest. I think could you see City loaning him to us though? That's the question. Yes, because I think Pep said he needs football. He wants to play in the Euros next summer. We'll do what we can by him. So I think yes, I think that is a possibility, unless obviously someone wants to buy him.
Interesting. Paul Feeney says, enjoyed the game last night. Unfortunately, Lady Luck was not wearing the black and white. Indeed. Again, 7:00 tonight for that match review. David says, is the Dortmund review show this evening, chaps? Indeed, I've just said that, David, just as I got to your comment. Player rating should be interesting. Stakes at the ready. Yeah, there might be a few disagreements on player ratings, I think, judging by the way we were talking during the show, but or after the match last night with the three of us. So I don't know. We might all agree. You never know. I mean, that rarely happens, but Barbara, good afternoon. If Tonali is not getting paid, what is the incentive to train? He will have to be getting something. Well, the incentive, Barbara, is the fact that he owes us big style. Like Billy alluded to earlier, wanting to come back after his ban and maybe sign a year's extension for the year he's been out, just to give a bit of loyalty back to the club for certainly sticking by him. And I think for Tonali, he's a professional footballer. He's still employed by Newcastle United. So if he doesn't turn up for training, then he'd be fined by the club, and he doesn't want that. He has to train.
I think the reports are that actually Tonali has suggested this himself. It's come from him.
Yeah. Anthony says, I've been a Newcastle fan for 28 years, and I tell you what, there is never a dull moment, that's for sure. I mean, we've classed that as Anthony, many times on this channel as a very big roller coaster ride, shall we say. And it just keeps going round and round. It will never come to a standstill at Newcastle United. And if Bruno gets a yellow card, he misses one game. Oh, God, I forgot about that.
This is true. So, imagine what sort of side we could be putting out against Arsenal. Christ almighty. Gets booked against Wolves.
I don't really want to think about that.
And for people saying no to Calvin Phillips, think about what Eddie Howe does to players. Just think about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, Eddie Howe will, players respond differently to different managers. And I think, Samuel, I really do believe you are a Manchester United fan now. Harry Maguire is a quality centre-back who would transform Newcastle United by playing in a back three.
We don't play with a back three, and if he did play for Newcastle United, he'd be our fourth best centre half. So no, thank you. See you later.
Yeah. Barbara says £1 million fine, and the money going to charity would have been a better punishment.
I mean, I did find the financial side of it quite odd. €20,000 fine. It's pretty paltry, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's like, what, 50 quid to me and you, Billy? For a
If
footballer?
If that.
Jesus. Any step at Newcastle side to Milan if they know about this before bought Tonali? We have to wait and see. We don't know. Kenny said when they showed him around, it looked like he has a nice lass to back him. Yeah, family will be very important for Tonali during this time. I think it'll have been important already from when the news broke. He's got a. I think he's been with her for a while. I think so. The relationship is a solid one, and of course, I'm sure his family will gather around him as well. They'll probably visit him over here, and like Eddie Howe said, just put a big arm around him, which includes the club, the family, the fans, everybody. And hopefully he comes out of this on the other side a better man, a better player, and determined to do something for Newcastle United. That's my thoughts anyway. Sean Longstaff was very complimentary about Tonali, really likes him. Yeah, we don't get to see what goes on behind closed doors. All these bloody plastic muppets that come out and say, oh, he's looking miserable, he's looking this. Nobody sees what he's like with the lads in the training ground, in the dressing room and things like that. They just see him just because he's walking into the ground just without smiling. Big deal. Everybody said that about Sven Botman last year. Can you remember, Billy, when we did that transfer show on the day he signed, and there was photos of him and videos of him getting out the car and looking a bit glum? He wasn't, these are young people. You've got to remember that just because they're footballers, they're still very young, and it's a different country, nerve-wracking for them, So you can understand them just being a bit. But look at the way Botman is on the pitch now and with the fans. He's when we score goals, he's in with the players, he's in with the fans. So that's just nout. Julie says it has to be proven whether Milan did or didn't know. Not sure how we're going to do that. Only by someone in Italy slipping up and opening the mouth.
There's always a digital footprint, Julie. Always a digital footprint.
Mark the Seltzers, afternoon, Paul and Billy. Looks like January will be a busy month for us. Hope Wilson does not get injured. I think that's an understatement at the minute. Milan should pay his wages for the 10 months he's banned. Well, if Milan knew about it, then yes. Daz, good afternoon from Loaded. Hope you're well, buddy. He says, afternoon, lads, and all. At least we now have confirmation on the length of the Tonali ban. We move forward and plan the season. Yeah, it absolutely does. You're right. And I think now that it's out in the open, that's why I wanted the length of the ban to come through quickly so that Newcastle United can just get on with it. We as fans can now get on with it. There's no ridiculous speculations coming out on videos every 5 minutes saying, oh, he's innocent, he's this, he's that. We now know. And that's why we didn't do this show until now, because we weren't going to put a video out saying, oh, he's got a 10-month ban, because it was hearsay. It was reporting. But now it's official. That's why we're doing the show. And we'll always do that. We'll just wait till the official news comes through and then we'll talk about it. So
I'm not sure it's this season so much. I think next summer's transfer window becomes different now because he's going to be available to play in August. Well, had he got a 2-year ban or 3-year ban, you're looking at different transfer kind of things, aren't you? The window is different. Then you've got to plan. You need midfield players. So I think.
Dare I say, Billy, the cliche, it will be like a new signing, hopefully, because hopefully we'll see a very, very different Tonali next year without the weight of the world on his shoulders. So
I agree.
I really hope that's right. He signed a contract. He should be getting paid. Yes, but he's you can't say that because he's
not able to fulfill it.
Yeah, his contract is probably null and void at the minute because he stepped outside of that contract.
I think the laws say that he should be getting his wages, but I think Sandro Tonali himself has said that he doesn't want paying for the next 11 months. I think that's the rumours. We don't know. Again, we're surmising. So until we find out, then we'll speak about it.
Absolutely. Paul Davis, shoulder injuries can be really bad. Just look at Paul Galland, hasn't worked for 7 years. They can be bad, but a dislocation is very... Ooh, Painful, shall we say. Lewis says, why is Man City not being charged yet, but Everton are going to get charged? Well, Man City have already had one fine for it, haven't they? But I think Everton's is a lot worse. That's why they're going to get a points deduction.
Man City was a UEFA fine, and they're kind of contesting it as well, aren't they? They seem to think they're going to get away with it at 115 charges. You know, it takes a lot longer than one charge. So,
yeah,
lots of reasons.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, that is it for the show this afternoon, guys. Just to bring you up to date with the Tonali situation. Nearly 600 watching. Thank you very much for your support and joining us for this short little live daily news video. We will be back, as I said, tonight at 7 o'clock, the three of us with the review of the match. A lot to talk about, I think, tonight, especially with the injuries with Tonali and, of course, how the game went yesterday. So definitely a lot to get through, including the player ratings, of course. And, of course, don't forget, we've got 2 member giveaways tonight and a viewer giveaway as well if you're not a member. So we dish prizes to everybody. So please join us at 7 o'clock tonight for that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Super Chats, etc. This afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you back at 7 o'clock. Take care.
Arrivederci, Sandro.
Come back and check on some green.